inform you that the seniors of the club nominated you as president for the year 2019-2020. Please let us know about your concern to work as president for KTC. When I heard the news, I was immediately wanted to say no, but I was completely paralyzed and confused. I believe I should be thankful for that. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, what could be my answer after all this discussion? Yes, a big no. To support that no, a series of reasons jumped into my mind. I'm not good, I'm not capable, I'm not good enough to become the president. How can I make decisions? It would be more like an innocent, poor, miserable lamb surrounded by so many legendary lions. As I thought, more and more reasons came to my mind. I'm not capable. I'm not a good speaker. I cannot stand in front of the audience. I have so much work in office, and Toastmaster Roshan is my boss. So I said no. I won't go into details, but uh, last this last few days completely discussing with my friends what to do and what not to do. In the end, I discovered something something odd, odd happenings. The entire world wanted me to be the president for KBC, except me. I was in a funny situation where I was being told that I was the perfect choice for the president, and I could not convince myself. In the end, it takes uh, there's only one way to say yes, but thousand ways to say no. And saying yes takes courage, and saying yes takes courage, while saying no is an easy way out. I realize that it is all our doubts that put us on laziness tracks, but I realize that when other people are believed in me, so I should believe in myself. No prizes for guessing that accepted the nomination. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, life is all about progress, and same goes for Toastmasters journey. You started out as a member, spending some time, and become a part of executive committee. Then you graduate to VP Education and president. But as more horizons are now opened up, ever since we were declared as territorial council, we are now have a formal district structure. Toastmasters International consists of different regions. Each regions consist of different districts. Each districts consist of divisions. Each division consists of many areas, and areas bring us to, to the basic building block, the clubs. Pakistan is designated as District 122 DC. It is divided into two divisions, Division A and Division B. Division A consists of Punjab, KPK, and Islamabad, while Division B consists of Sindh and Balochistan. Division B has three areas, and Karachi Toastmasters Club in, is a part of Division A. Moving further, area councils, every area has its own area councils, which is headed by an area director. Every division council, every division has its own council and headed by division director. Moving further in hierarchy, we have finance manager, PR manager, and we have administration manager. And finally, there is a district trio consists of district director, program quality director, and club board director. Did I say finally? No. In Toastmaster leadership continues when you rise above district level. You have the opportunity to become part of the board of directors, regional advisors, and finally the president of international president of Toastmasters International. If you don't select the leadership pathways, you have always chance to compete in speech contests and ultimately become the world champion of public speaking. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, as I said earlier, that as I said earlier, that Toastmaster is all about progressing. When you started as an XCOM member, it opened up ways for to become president, and that clears the path for area director and division director. Let me inform you, please don't go towards district leadership nomination committee. If you go, you won't be able to apply for area director and division director. So don't go for that path, that way. Okay. So so that's why. Okay, it clears the way for division director and district director. So once again, it takes thousand ways to say no, but it takes courage and willingness to serve, to say yes. And that convinced me to say yes. And I urge you all not to not to do not to not say things to not to do things, but to accept challenges, because in those masters you will find many people to help you, to guide you, whatever positions you take. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Hello? Yeah, it's echoing. So now, thank you. What a wonderful speech by Toastmaster Imran Rana. Now moving to the next session, and it's a FAQ session. All the members will get the chance to ask questions. Now I would like to hand over the charge to Toastmaster Saleha to conduct the session. Over to the Toastmaster Saleha. Toastmaster Saleha is asking for 1 minute wait.
Okay, I believe in the meantime, let's ask some of the guests that have joined our meeting to give their brief introduction as well. How about that? Okay, so first of all, we have Toastmaster Wali and Toastmaster Vania from DAO. How are you doing, guys?
Hello, Assalamualaikum, Toastmaster Tala. Hello, everyone. So, Alhamdulillah, we are doing fine. And it's just another day and another meeting. We are just attending and definitely looking forward to this. I think I will agree with Toastmaster Rana's speech, basically. And he said that there's 1,000 ways of saying no, and it takes a whole lot of courage to say yes to something that requires too much of our responsibilities, and I totally agree with that.
I will add something to that you don't really know what you're capable of unless you're thrown into a situation, so you can't decide beforehand whether you're capable or not. We have Toastmaster Vania. Toastmaster Vania, how are you doing?
Assalamualaikum everyone. This is Toastmaster Vania from Dalzai Russian Toastmasters Club, and it's my pleasure to be here. Alhamdulillah, I'm doing very well.
Thank you so much. we have a bad news for you. There's no table topic session today for you to win. So I'm hoping that the lack of a table topic session will not discourage you from attending the meeting.
It's perfectly fine. It's my pleasure anyway.
Okay.
Here.
We have someone named Dr. Positive. So first of all, please specify what do you mean by positive? Is that positive as in positive outlook of life, or positive in some infection or so? So please.
Yeah, hi. So I'm called as Dr. Positive because I spread positivity, and I'm a poet basically, and whenever I do my poetry, I add positivity to in my poetry. So I show, I mean, there's sadness and happiness, so it's balanced.
Okay, that's great. So Dr. Positive, if you want, would you like to tell us your real name and which club do you belong to, or are you just a guest?
Basically, I belong to TWC Writing Club Pakistan, and my real name is Shams. I have Instagram name called as Shams Talk. So whenever I do poetry, it's on the current situation. Like you can say COVID, you can say Ramadan, you can say Eid. So I just pick up the current topic and I do poetry on that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. So I believe Toastmaster Solia, now you're ready? Okay, great. Take it away.
Do I have the liberty to share my screen? Because I have the presentations to share.
Sure.
Because I'm not the host, that's why I'm confirming. Let's
No,
see.
it's okay. Anyone can share their screen.
Okay. Hope it's visible. So, fellow Toastmasters and guests, why did this happen? Okay, my screen is visible, and let me tell you, let all of you ask yourself and me myself that why did we thought that we had this need to have this impromptu kind of meeting for basically the new members of our club or any other. They are more than welcome. So when you have this project, the big monster, and you have to take it through the speech delivery stage, and now the question arises, you become blank. You don't know how to act, how to do. All you can do, all I could do is procrastinate, procrastinate, and procrastinate. Like since the last December till now, I have my level 5 project keynote speech of 20 minutes. And all I have been doing is for December, January, February, March, April, May. For the 6 months, I've been procrastinating. Because what if I don't do it good? I do a blunder and I'm not, my speech is not impactful enough. It is not impressive enough. What will the people think that, oh, level 5 is speaker and this much poor speech? First of all, for the new members, you need to just do that because these are the some crucial steps that we, even myself, sometimes miss. You have your evaluation forms. You can easily get them on the Toastmaster International website, or I am too lazy to log in and then to check them out. What I do is I just Google, I write evaluation form and the name of my project, and voila, from different websites of different district, they have it uploaded the PDF on their pages. I get the link, I download it. The important thing is the competencies. This is what thing makes you a better speaker project by project. In every project, there is something hidden in it, the essence of each project. And then the second comes is evaluations worksheet that is only available, maybe on Google it will be available, and it's more succinct on the website. It helps you to check out the outline, what you need to be doing in your preparation, what you have done in your preparation, and you can get it. Then the next thing I would do is surf over YouTube. You see, not from just Pakistan as a district, from around the world, there are very brilliant speakers that have uploaded their speeches. Or not, if we just say, because we all are judgmental, if not very good speech, I can say that it gives you some idea for the content. And if even it doesn't help you, then then just take your pen paper, get on the brainstorming. Once you start writing with the competencies, because that's not necessary that everyone's life is so much they have a lot of explosions, or they have been very adventurous, and there comes a point when you don't know what to write. But when you start writing, it could be a fact based speech, or speech can be informational, humorous, or knowledgeable. All it needs to be, should be good enough to engage your audience, make them laugh once or twice. However, my standard number for a normal speech, there should be 6 punchlines. Your audience should be able to laugh 6 times for a normal speech. If you want to become a better speaker, and in the end you try to aim to compete in the speech contest, and you want to win at your club level and other levels as well, there should be 6 solid punches that can make your audience laugh. Then comes the speech craft. For speech craft, there should be 3 portions: a good opening, a striking opening. My VP education from Zenith always used to say that the early 60 to 80 minutes are very captivating. They could captivate your audience, or they could, just make them bored, and they don't want to listen you for upcoming 2-3 minutes. And this is all the 5 minutes you have, the golden minutes. The early 2 to 1 minutes are the golden times to captivate your audience. What you can do, you can ask a question, you can share a quote, you can give an anecdote, a short story, anything that just provokes and evokes their thought and mind processes, or whatever they are daydreaming. Let me share you one thing, that in my early time as a toastmaster, I was being very unknowingly, I was disrespectful to a speaker. He was delivering his CC manual advanced level, and it was a keynote speech. And what, it didn't got any of my attention because I was bored. I was like, why is he boring us with his long presentation? I don't want to hear it. And you don't want that from your audiences. Then comes the stagecraft. So I would need a volunteer here. Toastmaster Talha, do you know the power postures? The power postures.
No, I'm afraid not.
Okay, Toastmaster Sabah, can you turn your camera on? Yeah, you are very well known to this, to give us the language of the power posture. What is a posture or gesture that defines that you are a confident individual? Please give us some few examples. And any other? Open arms like okay. Okay. Thank you. You're on mute. By the way, so you see, fellow Toastmaster, I don't know. I might be boring or I might be interesting, but this is the power posture you need to see, because this is a property of confident people, that their body is always outward facing. Their face is upward, their shoulders are upward. They are not depressed people, and they are always smiling. And there's a theory: if you fake your smile for more than 1 minute or 2 minutes, eventually you start feeling good, because with the stretching of these muscles, the feeling happy hormones are released automatically within your brain. And then comes the stage crafting. Stage crafting means you have to divide your stage. By now we are on virtual stage, but when you are on real world, you have to distribute your stage into 3 parts. One, where you will be starting your opening, it could be the center, and then you must have to have 3 anecdotes, 3 short stories in your speeches, sharing your 3 different experiences. Like the world champions, it started with their childhood experience, then their work and job life or university life experience, and their marriage life or after marriage life or midlife crisis or old age experiences. So this is how every speech is supposed to be, and is distributed into triads in 3 parts. And in the end, there has to be a CTA. Now CTA in the market is very crucial. Call to action. There is never an end to a speech. There is call to action that enables or that persuades enough your audience to get up when they, after listening to your speech, they get up and say, wow, what did just Toastmaster Vanya said in her speech was so inspiring that I would go on my home and start a blog similar like this, and I would start Toastmaster Vanya has. Or, whoa, what the Toastmaster Talha just said. I would go to my home and I try to be more like what the Toastmaster Talha said. So this is the thing. And I don't know if I'm clear or not. Can anybody give me thumbs up if it's I'm clear or I'm boring like an 80-year-old aunt? Can anybody give me thumbs up? Yeah. Okay, it is quite engaging. Okay. Then comes the vocal modality, which I haven't been enough expertise of, or I haven't been able to, get master on it. The vocal modality, it means when you are saying something very important, you need to lower down your voice, no matter you are attending an audience of 1,000 people. And you need to louden your voice if you are attending an audience or if you're giving them a sense of surprise, because it is all in your voice that can make your low pitches have the similar impact as your high pitches. Because last week I've been evaluated by Toastmaster Richard, and he said, Toastmaster Solia, maybe it was your speaker's fault that it was making you listen more with a higher pitch. But who have ever met me in real world knows that I speak louder and I'm more excited when I'm delivering a speech, and I miss my pauses. Pauses are very important. One of the very accomplished Toastmaster speaker would do whenever they would come up to the stage, they would first have a 360-degree stare at their audience like this. So what does this stare help? This stare lets them settle down, and it would make it more of a mystery rather than a speech delivery. Then the second thing comes is pauses. Pauses are very important in creating the attention, in gaining the attention of your audience, or in making your jokes impactful. Like there was a Toastmaster DTM Aditya. He said that, listen to this joke. I'm giving the example. His sister's daughter was very annoying kid, and she was washing her dishes, and she said that, mama, you have a silver hair in your head. And the mother said that yes, whenever the children annoy or irritate their mothers a lot, the mother get one silver hair. The daughter replied, oh, that's why my nani, my grandma, has her whole head of white hairs. Means you also annoyed your mother a lot. And the eye contact, I have discussed about the eye contact already, because I'm very and I have a lot of anxiety while contacting or having an eye contact with the people. But no matter, if you want to become a good speaker, you have to do it. And people mostly say, look at the heads of them if you can't make an eye contact. But it to the practical levels, it becomes absurd. You have to look into the eyes of the people to tell them that I am being empathetic and I am a good speaker, because the words have the power. The words have the power to make the people cry with you, laugh with you, smile with you, and contact with you, and be feel the immediate sadness if you have ever felt. Okay, the next thing we have here is what to do when hesitating, confused, or nervous. So raise your hands if you have ever felt your heart pounding in your ears when delivering your speech. Have you felt nervous? Have your hands shrank? Have your feet shrank? Raise your hands, fellow Toastmasters, because I need you guys to interact along with me. Okay, there are no a lot of people. There are not a lot of people. There are only 10% who have raised their hands. So a lot of you have a lot of more confidence and courage than I have. What happened with me the first time I went on a stage was in Fast University, Fast Nurses. There were more men than girls, more boys than girls, and many senior speakers. And the topic was freedom of speech. And when I went on the stage, I was well prepared. As soon as I went on the speech, I started blushing. My face went hot. I was nervous and I stepped out of the stage.
and it was one of the most embarrassing moments of my life. It is when you feel you are not prepared, you have it, or either you are not a regular speak deliver, you don't deliver your speech regularly. So what do you need to do? New members, yes, I would suggest every 1 week of later or every 2 weeks of break, you need to have to deliver a speech. It helps you with number one, social anxiety. I don't know about you guys, what's your social life, but I've been paranoid and isolated with my books and my room. So I have that social anxiety that I've been frequently asking my sister, is my hijab all right? Is something on my face? Is my lipstick coming out of the borders? Is my clothes torn from somewhere? Am I looking more fatter? Am I looking more thinner? Is something wrong with me? Why are these people staring when I'm delivering the speech? And then the answer I got, idiot, if you are the center of the attention, you are delivering a speech, eventually people will look at you. This is the thing, the very basic thing. But those eyes, those stares give me anxiety. And I had mastered that anxiety by my level 3, but I regained it because I have now a huge gap of speech delivery. I'm not used to it. Like now I'm having my anxiety ahs, ooms, and the like a tape recorder is stuck in the audio thing. Then the stage fright, obviously your hands are shrinking, your feet are shrinking, your heart is pounding, and you forget the speech, you forget the script, the most embarrassing thing. This is what happens. You forget the speech. Now what do you need to do? Number one, you can have a lot of knowledge regarding that topic, that you can make the fool out of yourself and as well as the listeners. You can do an impromptu. That's why we have table topics. Like once I was having about a speech about my mentors, and in the end I forgot. And then I added a bit of something from my impromptu experiences. That's why we have table topics. Even the world champions shared that they always had 2 to 3 paragraphs extra memorized because they might forgot their initial or basic script. Even the world champions hesitate and have the same nervousness and the same confusion you have. They are not superhumans, they are not aliens. So, by far, am I clear or am I paranoid? Am I clear to you guys? Please give me some clear thumbs up
Yes,
or something.
clear.
Yes, you're clear.
Okay,
Yes, you're
we
clear.
move for those ones who are logical ones, who follow the rules, because I don't follow by the rules, I don't follow by the routine, but the ones who are right-handed ones, especially because their brain works more of the other side. So you see, guys, instructions for consistent speech delivery, you need to have these things if you are a newbie. And I have a spelling mistake in competencies. You need to learn about the competencies, you need to understand about them by the earlierly posted uploaded videos on YouTube. Then you may start to make a rough draft of your speech. Remember, a striking opening with a question, a quote, or any short story or experience. The middle could be 3 short anecdotes from your life, from your childhood, young age, old age, if not old, then married stage, or work experience. And then the end is never a end, neither a conclusion. Conclusion comes in the evaluation. The end is the CTA that makes people stand up, go to their home and reflect on it. Like there was a speaker who said, we can fix it. And he first of when he delivered his speech first time, it didn't got him the first prize. But when he second time he improvised the script and he made the audience reflect that, is the life worth living with your life partner and fighting with your companion? Why don't we just settle down and work over our conflicts, and then we can live smoothly? And it made the audience cherish a lot and think over it, because most of the people are married. Like one of the most disadvantages being a speaker now I face is that I am single, I'm not married, because I live in a society where I can't share my experience with a relationship with a guy, but rather people take a lot of advantages, speakers in Pakistani Toastmasters being married, because they can rant, they can make humor out of their married life experiences, and I can do that. Yesterday, I was given to complete the second part of the joke by Sarah Khan, and she said, I want to die like my neighbor silently, and I had to embarrassingly complete it because I can't bear my husband anymore. I wish I could say that legitimately because I don't have any husband. I can't rant or I can't make fun of that because it is also a very crucial thing, a very good content, and I'm missing that content to share with you. Then, when you have the draft, read it to your family and friends or your siblings first if you are close to them, because they'll be judgmental and they'll accept the things you are saying. Then the final script should be submitted to the mentor. If you don't have the mentor, go to your VP education. It's your basic right being a Toastmaster and ask for a good mentor. And if you have anyone, ask him to prioritize him or her as your mentor. The mentor is like an elder brother or elder sister who leads you the way, directs you the way, how to one by one go through your script writing and how to improve as a speaker. Then comes start practicing your speech. I did this for the humorous speech last year, this year, and it didn't work for me because my content wasn't good enough and it wasn't approved by any of my mentors. But if it goes for a regular meeting speech, do perform it 4 to 5 times in front of a mirror because it will get you lessen your anxiety of how you are being judged, how you looking, either you are fat or thin. Even decide your dress you are gonna wear on your Toastmasters meeting. Okay, this comes for people like me. What if I'm too busy, or what if I'm too lazy to make a speech script? Okay, this is what I know, that this is me, and this is Toastmaster Majid Akhtar as well. He doesn't prepare his speeches. So basically, DTM Talha had prepared a video recently. If you guys are on social media, on Facebook, prepare is how to prepare speech in 30 minutes. Yeah, like you have got up, you have woke up early in the morning, and you know you have 5 hours to your meeting. So you just grant yourself 30 minutes and give 30 minutes to work on your speech. And the second thing is, if it doesn't work out for you, just give your speech. Toastmaster Asma and Toastmaster Farouk and Toastmaster Zubair, you are our new members, and you say every week you are putting down your chances, your golden chances of delivering your speech, and leveling up. It is a game in the pathways. Level 1 complete, level 2 complete, level 3 complete. And then you are not taking those opportunities. But I would say you and suggest you. I have given horrible speeches in contest. In regular meeting right now, I'm giving a horrible one. This is also a horrible one because it's purely impromptu one. But you have to try to give that speech because it gives you a confidence in your inner self, in your vocabulary, in your how you want to project your ideas, your words. So, any questions? uh, okay. The end. The end.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Toastmaster Solar. First of all, okay, I'm interrupting because I want to give you a standing ovation. Today, what I witnessed from you was something amazing. Your advice was heartfelt. It was genuine, and truly, I believe that you conveyed to us points that we can all use as far as writing speeches is concerned. I love the way that you related it to your own experiences. And please, I know it's sounding like that, but it's not an evaluation. So don't worry. And I would just say this to you, Toastmaster Soria, that you always do wonders when you step outside of yourself. Think about it. And today was one of those days. I'm sure everybody else also thoroughly enjoyed and benefited from your presentation. I would just say one thing, and that is that you missed a slight trick. And this is something that I would like to add on top of what you suggested. Don't let anything you do go to waste. How come? Because guess what? You talked about that 20-minute project, right?
Yeah.
what was stopping you from delivering that today as this presentation? So yeah, so this is something that comes with experience. Uh, Slowly and gradually, you learn to study the pathways projects, and you learn to fit your whatever you're doing into those projects. So, for example, in Toastmaster Arusa knows this, that when I got invited to speak on the World Headquarters webinar, and I think some of you saw it as well. Guess what? That was also a project, because that was a project called Communicating Change, and it had it had in the come sprung up in the pathway sequence just at that time. So I was invited to speak upon benefiting the community during COVID-19 lockdown, right? And the project was Communicating Change. So what could be a bigger change than the lockdown and the COVID-19? So I crafted my speech. I requested Toastmaster Rusa to be my evaluator, and bingo, like two birds with one stone. So in addition to whatever Toastmaster Swalaya said, we also need to learn about this thing that, since Pathways has a variety of projects, and there's no strict hard and fast sequence that you have to follow as long as you're within a level. You can do your project 3 first, then after, although it's not recommended, but sometimes when the opportunity presents itself. So for example, if you're conducting a table topic session, that's also a project in a pathway, right? So learn to identify the opportunities. Whatever you write, whatever you deliver, try to ensure that you get credit for it. Yes, I know that sounds mean and self-centered, but it's not actually. It's a win-win situation for both your audience and yourself. So Toastmaster Solia, amazing job. And I only wish that you could have turned this into a keynote speech and have it evaluated, and you would have done that project that you have been procrastinating for 6 months. Okay, I believe now we can open the floor for questions about pathways, about speech writing, right? So anybody, please go ahead. Yes.
Since I'm the youngest one, I will also reserve my right to ask first question. Okay, DTM Tala, when I sit down to write my speech, the draft of my speech, I always keep in mind the requirement, as TM Salia shown us in our presentation, the requirement of the project. Recently, I'm doing my project on mentoring. So once I read the requirement and then I saw some of the videos, including yours, the speaker, I found speakers are talking about the mentor in their primary school, someone in their family, someone in the university, and then they come to the Toastmaster program and pick their mentor. They praise it, and then they compare the mentor with the coach. Now, when you go to the requirement of the speech, you will find that the the requirement talks about mentoring in Toastmaster program, or how Toastmasters define a mentoring. So it is somewhat in a violation of the requirement when we talk about the mentoring. I have seen the videos which are also in violative of the requirement. On the other hand, when I tried to violate the requirement of the speech, none other than you interrupted me. Did you remember me being a social reformer when I was not supposed to be? So then what is this contradiction? I'm constantly observing this contradiction between the requirement of the speech and what the speakers is speaking in front of the audience.
Okay, I would like to respond to that, and then maybe Toastmaster Swala or anyone else can add to it. First of all, about that particular project of yours, about the social reformer angle. If you recall, the project was specifically about storytelling, if I recall correctly, right? And I merely suggested that, I did not suggest that you violated the brief of the project. I just said that, Perhaps in this project, the social reformer aspect was not as needed as it is in some of your other speeches. So it was not exactly a violation. Secondly, I perfectly identify with the problem that you're mentioning, because in that particular project about Toastmasters mentoring, if you read the description, and I think those of you who have read the description can second me as well, uh, it mentions, it places an emphasis upon Toastmasters mentoring, right? But when you come to the evaluation sheet, and there the project objectives are written, right? In that, it turns the emphasis towards any mentoring experience that you've had in your life rather than just Toastmasters mentoring. So in that case, I would just say that there is no definitive answer to this. There is a contradiction, but it's not a contradiction in our understanding. It's a contradiction in the Toastmasters materials itself. So whenever there's such a contradiction, and I'm not saying this is the only contradiction, the contradictions were there in the old curriculum as well. In that case, we always give the benefit of the doubt to the speaker. So, and since you have to do this project again and again, the mentoring one, every time you do a pathway, you have to do this mentoring project, right? So it's necessary that you have to have a different spin on it. Let me give you an example. You mentioned that when you sit down to write a project, you keep before yourself a brief of the project. So I would say that you adopt a very methodical, and I would say a bottoms up approach, in the sense that you first place the project before yourself and then you sit down to write a speech. For me, it's quite different. I have a pool of ideas with me, and what I do is that whenever I feel inclined to write a speech, I explore the ways in which I can fit it into a particular project. Okay, so it's trying to, let's say, what you're doing is you're sewing a shirt by taking accurate measurements and then trying out the shirt on yourself and making amends where it doesn't fit. So it's a very precise process. What I'm doing is taking a pajama and remolding it into a shirt. And obviously, it cannot be as perfect, as methodical, but keep in mind that uh, for me at least, um, since thanks to my doing more than one single pathway, I've had to repeat myself quite a bit. That includes the first 4 projects, that includes the icebreaker, that includes the mentoring, the leadership, and the communication style. So I have to weigh between sticking doggedly to the project description versus delivering something useful to the audience, which I haven't delivered before. So it's all about the context. All I would say is that there's a certain degree of flexibility, and it all depends upon your evaluator as well. But my final message to you would be that uh, I believe that, and I've seen and heard you speak, and I'm a great admirer of you as a speaker. I would just say this to you, that don't let the framework of the project hamper your creativity. Rather, you should go with your heart first and then tweak your project to fit the project description rather than the other way around. So that's my answer. Again, there's no definite answer to this. It depends upon your evaluator also, how steadfast they are. Some evaluators read each and every line of the project and then they evaluate the project according to that. And DTM Samir is one of those people. But some evaluators assess a project more like as a speech first and then according to the project. So again, it depends. There's no definitive answer to this. Okay.
Well, I don't want to take further time. I have another question, but if I can come later on if anybody has a question with him or her right now.
Anybody? Do you have a question?
I had a question to Master Tala.
Sure.
It was regarding the stage crafting, basically. That how can we improve the quality of our speech? Because we know that we are in front of a camera, and basically it is stuck at a one place, and we cannot move to any other place if we have space, but we cannot use that space because the camera is still placed on one position. So I think that we should find other ways. What are the other ways to solve this problem of the available space, how to use it more effectively?
Okay. So first of all, Toastmaster Wali, I always recommend that uh, your camera should have a different placement. See, the ideal way to attend a Toastmasters meeting is on a laptop via Zoom. Okay, but that's perhaps not the ideal way to shoot yourself while speaking, right? So you may have to do a different arrangement. First of all, come out of this mind frame that you have to necessarily use your laptop for your speech. You can use your phone camera as well mounted on a tripod. So first make sure that it's on a height that is roughly between your neck versus your head, so that the view is directly in front. Secondly, um, yes, stage crafting is difficult during virtual meetings, but it is possible. So it all depends upon the placement of your camera. You can define your speaking area yourself. Okay, nobody can define it for you, but the larger it is, the more flexibility you will have. Okay, and by large I mean that it can be this large. That's pretty much enough. That's enough. So as a general rule of thumb, the distance between the tips of your fingers when spread out, like 3 or 4 feet, even that allows you to move a bit, right? It does not have to have a long length in which you can move. It depends upon you and your coverage. Secondly, the benchmark that I've seen worldwide and also in contests is that at the very least, your head and your torso should be visible. There's no requirement for your entire body to be visible, although that's preferable. But then again, you have to make a compromise in your voice quality. Sometimes when you try to make sure that your entire body is visible, you are too far away from the camera. So for that, I will recommend everyone, not just you, everyone, please invest in earpods that have microphones. That is one of the best purchases you can make. Connect them to your phone or laptop via Bluetooth and you're good to go. I mean, seriously, you can be standing 10 feet away and still you'll be perfectly audible. So please invest in those. You don't need to buy the expensive uh, AirPods, the Apple ones. There are many Chinese models, and yes, some of them are genuine, some of them are uh, second quality, some of them are copies of copies, but most of them work well enough for our purposes. So that's the proposal that I have. Anybody else, those, especially those who have done speeches, please feel free to add your input to this.
Toastmaster Talha, I would like to add that we were in a global speech, and there was a Saudi Arabian speaker. She had worked really hard on her content, but when she was about to deliver, there was a bit mistake with her background. Her wall had all the racks and all the trophies. She was preferably maybe in her drawing room, and it was a bit of more of a distraction. Or either somewhere if there are designs or paintings in the background, it really distracts. You should have a very blank, you have to look at any blank wall, white wall, off white wall, preferably if you're in your home. No trophies, no like racks, no pictures, no paints, no vases at the background, nothing, only you and the wall. It helps to the audience to engage. Otherwise people are sorting out, acha, this is the trophy from district, from area level, from club level. You don't need the trophies in the background.
Great.
Okay. Who else has a question? I think Toastmaster Asghar, you can have your second question now, and then we can continue.
Well, my second question question is not is more of a general in nature. There are some speakers who violate the requirement or the purpose of the speech. This in a way distort their learning path. But the evaluator, usually has nothing to say about that violation which occurred in any particular speech. And the speaker try to convince the audience through the witty things, through the dramatic sentences, in order to go ahead or be liked by them rather than follow the path. So I personally believe that there should be a system in place among the evaluator or in the Toastmaster system, that the speaker should be punished or discouraged in case he or she violates the purpose of the speech. Because when we do it, we usually distort our learning path. It is ultimately, uh, you know, uh, uh, does not support us, our very learning. It goes against the learning. What is your observation? I just want to need your observation regarding this criteria. Have you, I mean, are you observing this phenomena?
Okay, first of I'd like to respond, and then anybody else can add their views to it as well. First of all, I take that by violations you mean you're in a very judicial frame of mind today, and you're using very dangerous terms. So I think by violation you mean non-compliance of some specs of the project, right?
And not, yeah, exactly, the requirement, the very requirement. If
Yeah,
my requirement is my, if my requirement is to deliver a speech for a special occasion,
yeah,
I'll
yeah, yeah.
go for a presentation. I'll go for a presentation which is
Right, right.
totally irrelevant of my requirement. But then I completed successfully. Usually, I see people completing that particular project without being warned or without being told that this violation has occurred. He or she may repeat his speech.
Okay. Are you by any chance studying criminal law these days?
No, not at all,
Okay,
not at all.
because it sounded like that. Anyhow, okay. I second you that the if the main requirement of the project is not met, then by all means it should be pointed out. See,
Mm.
but you have to understand that there are subtle differences between the way various clubs operate. Okay, in Karachi Toastmasters Club, uh, there was a very strong tradition of people being asked to repeat their projects. Right, it was quite frequent, and it was nothing out of the ordinary. But when I visited certain other clubs, uh, I learned that they had drawn the line at actually asking the person to repeat. Why? Because they leave it to their judgment. Okay, so in some clubs, what they do is that they do point out, but they don't ask the person to repeat. Right, uh, and I believe that you know uh, I agree with you to the extent that when a speaker is no longer new, they're experienced, they should be held to a higher standard. I have absolutely no question regarding that. But there's also one more factor, and that factor is that if you look at the evaluation sheet of pathways, okay, it's very generic. The project may be very specific, but the evaluation sheet itself is very generic. And what that does is that when the evaluator only sees the evaluation sheet, they don't find much to object. Even if the speaker hasn't met the objectives to quite a significant extent, the evaluation sheet is not stopping them from evaluating it well. Okay, so my answer to that is that in pathways, it is preferable, and we will try to do it going forward. Please note it down, Toastmaster Sabha. Going forward, we should do this. Uh, we should not just give the evaluation sheet to the evaluator. We should give them the entire project. Okay, in pathways there's a option to download entire project. Let me try to demonstrate to you. right now. And I think that is very useful because that has what Toastmaster Asgar referred to, that has the entire specs, the expectations of a project. And against that entire thing, the project can be much more stringently evaluated. But again, I will caution that it depends from club to club. It depends from evaluator to evaluator. Some evaluators will not be uh, very keen on doing that because they don't want to discourage new speakers as well, right? So it's also largely a question of personal judgment. So anyone else who would like to add to this?
Can you come again?
What I said was that anybody who would like to add to what I just said about Toastmasters Asgar's question of a project not meeting the specs, and even then they are essentially
Uh,
getting
the
away with
last
it.
project, Toastmaster Sabha was asked to repeat twice. Was a pitch about a proposal. She had to use 3 minutes to propose it to the VP Education through a stage, and she wasn't understanding it quietly, and she didn't had any mentor, and she was frequently asking me, and I was being very busy, and I was quite a bit arrogant. I said, "Go away, to hell with you! Don't irritate me. I have my other works to do." Because I was in my exams and she didn't had any mentor, and she was quite confused, and she prepared the speech 1 minute before the Toastmaster of the day would call her on the rostrum, and the only thing she could speak was for 30 seconds of a mirror. So that's why for twice or thrice she was asked to repeat. So there's a very no line we have defined for the repeating of projects. There should be. I would second Toastmaster Asgar. There should be something to ask them to repeat the
Yeah,
project.
exactly. I agree to that as well. The only thing is that sometimes it can be very subjective because I remember one meeting, and I know I think Toastmaster Asgar was in that meeting, and if you were in that meeting, you wouldn't have forgotten it because you would be enjoying the memories of that meeting to this day. It was when myself and Zaid Talia both were delivering speeches from the Humorously Speaking Manual, and both were being evaluated by DTM Samir, and both of us were asked to repeat the project. And see the smile? Yeah, he remembers it. So actually, yeah. So and both of us were asked to repeat on technicalities. So uh, in for Zad's project, it was actually DTM Samir said that you have to give a dramatic talk based on something you experienced, and his speech veered into fantasy a bit, like
Okay.
it was UFOs and space and all. And whereas I made a speech about my speech title was "You Are What You Eat," and it was all about my failures, obviously, at dieting. And still, DTM Samir said that your speech didn't have a central point because he couldn't see it, right? So, yeah,
I think DTM Tala, one of the reason is you are being evaluated by someone who had been gone through this process. What
yes,
we usually observe is sometimes our evaluator uh, himself haven't delivered that project yet when he was evaluating us. He hadn't reached there yet at the time of our evaluation. I think this is one of the reason perhaps that he or she usually ignore what the objective of the speech and how they need to be fulfilled like that.
right. So,
Can
okay.
I add in this
Yeah,
regard?
please, please, please.
Basically, as you know that I will agree with you, Toastmaster Tala, that it depends on like between club to club, and basically our club is quite new, and I think that not all the members are quite aware of the totally aware of the project, what were what the background, what are the objectives of the particular project, and I think that that's why it depends that sometimes they miss out on while evaluating
Yes.
the speaker, they miss out on the basic objective because they didn't even have delivered that particular speech.
See, okay. So let me just demonstrate what I was hinting at a few minutes ago. I'll be sharing my screen and I'll be sharing with you how to download the entire project, because that will also be beneficial for those who are preparing the project and also who are evaluating the project. So everybody, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Everybody, please ignore all the other tabs that are open, first of all. Secondly, yeah, okay. I've launched it. I've launched the icebreaker, right? And when you click through icebreaker, obviously you see a bunch of screens. Toastmaster Soleh, stop staring at my other tabs, please.
I've taken a screenshot.
Okay. Okay, it's good to see that even after the remap, even after the revamp and the relaunch and the optimization, it's as slow as before. So, okay, thankfully it has opened. Okay, see, when you click through the screens, you ultimately land on this screen, right? Evaluation resource, print my project, outline worksheet, right? That's true for almost every project. Now click on this button. Instead of just downloading the evaluation resource, click on print my project. And here you will receive a PDF of the entire project. See, this is what you should be studying. This is what you should be preparing for. And this is what your evaluators should be seeing. Okay, I know it's very long. They cannot be expected to go through and see. This is where it's necessary to provide your evaluators with the evaluation sheet at least one day before the meeting so that they can have a look at it. So this is the entire project. It has the entire specs. And so if you see, there are like 23 pages. And what does the evaluation sheet have? Just a second. The evaluation sheet, okay, yeah. The purpose of this project is for the member to introduce himself or herself to the club and learn the basic structure of a public speech. Now, if you just go by this line, this sentence, then you can get away with virtually anything, right? You can just tell your name. You can just tell the meaning of your name. You can just tell, for example, what are you doing in Toastmasters? You can tell what your favorite food is, and bingo, 4 minutes gone and you've passed the project, right? What this doesn't tell you is that you are supposed to describe your childhood, your family, your upbringing, your education, your professional life, your hopes and dreams. Why did you join Toastmasters? It's all there in all this, right? In the checklist, in the project descriptions, it's all there. But your evaluator does not see all of that. You see all of that. So this is the major difference between the old curriculum and pathways. In the old curriculum, you handed the entire manual to your evaluator, and your evaluator then saw the entire project, and then they evaluated you. And then that enabled them to ask you to repeat the project on minor technicalities. But they can no longer do that because the description of the project in the evaluation sheet is so generic. So I encourage everyone to download the entire project of whatever project you're doing, read through it, and then hand it over to your evaluator. Okay, who else?
I want to ask the new members of any club of ours or any fellow club, please tell us the one of the most top 3 hard, difficult challenges you face while delivering your speech. Like you are on your laptop, your PC. Yes, Toastmaster Jahanzib.
Yes, I would like to share my like one of the dilemmas which I face every time I write my speech or prepare for any project. So that is something which I would like to share with everyone. You know, we are told to prepare speeches which are relevant to the audience. Like we are told that whatever we prepare, which is sellable to all, to everyone. So it is in simple words, there should be a commercial speech Whereas I believe, like, whatever projects I do, I try to do projects which like in which I have interests. So there can be very complicated topics, because I like very firmly believe that whatever project you prepare or do research or like memorize or prepare, you get to learn about that particular subject. So that is how I intend. Like, it is a very good source of information for me. So that is how I choose my topics. But then the dilemma comes where you choose very complicated topics. So that is something which everyone should consider, and this is where I could lead to a different, in order to like conclude that complicated topic to a very commercial one. So that transformation can go to a different angle altogether. So in that way, a lot of people can go, can deviate from the topic's requirement. So that is something which I am trying to overcome, and it should be like many people can face this thing.
I think that's a very important point. I second you fully that an overly complicated project can, distract people, and it can be hard on yourself and on your audience too. So yes, sometimes it's very hard to resist the urge to cram whatever you're thinking into that 5 to 7 minute speech. But gradually you learn with time that that's not the way to go. Before we move further, I'd like to share something just to build on the presentation by Toastmaster Swaleha Khan. I'm hoping that I'm able to play that video and you're all able to see this video. It's the video of the starting of World Championship winning speech, Ramona J. Smith. And what I admire the most about that speech? I believe that she won the contest right when she stepped onto the stage. And you'll see why in a moment. First of all, her speech title, and secondly, I'm hoping that it plays right. Just sharing my screen. Okay. Okay. Can everyone see the YouTube page? Okay. Now can everyone see the video? Okay. Now I don't know if the volume, if the sound will go or not go, but it's not relevant. You just have to see. And just a second. Yeah. Okay. Now see. See how she enters. Okay, did everyone see that? Okay, those few seconds that she took for entry, and she looked at everyone, she smiled, and the title of the speech still standing. To me, it always conveys that she has just won a fight, and now she's standing before the audience and bowing before her rather than starting the speech. So again, this is something that we can all learn. I mean, getting connected to the audience without saying a word and just for a few seconds. And I believe that, after this kind of entry, uh, her chances of winning became 10 times. She could have done an ordinary speech and still be in the contention, but she did an amazing speech, and that's why she won. So, in addition to your body language starts even before you start speaking. That's the thing.
Yeah.
The way you enter, the way you start. And as Toastmaster Swaleha said, that you have the first 2 minutes to grab the audience. If you cannot grab the audience's attention during the first 2 minutes, it can be very difficult. So that's why we often go for sensational starts. We often go for taking something from the middle of the speech and saying it in the start to grab the audience's attention. So anybody else with a question?
Can I add up to Toastmaster Jahanzeb's thing? What he
Sure.
said. First of all, I would like to thank you, Toastmaster Jahanzeb. It's a very big thing for us, particularly the South Asians, the Pakistani, to be vulnerable in front of our community or regular people who meet in social circle, and to share our weaknesses, whatever we do. And the thing is, in Toastmaster speeches promote to share your emotional stories more rather than your logical or whatever have you learned. Like the winning speech or first runner-up speech was more about IQ, right? About the rich mindset and the poor mindset. But you agree that some people have interest in studies, some people love physics, biochemistry, and some people hate it. So not everybody is going to relate with it because people have different IQs. But the whole human around the globe, irrespective of the language, have the same emotions. They hate, they love, they cry. So this is for, therefore it is we are asked to share our emotions, our failures. Like Ramona shared her divorce, then going up to the college, getting her degree, and leveling up to her life again. So if you would share about your life story, your personal experiences, like I always share that how I ended up repeating my university's year and how much I hated my teachers. And when I was telling about the mentoring program, whenever I start with the program, first of all, I ask myself, can I relate to this thing? Do I have ever had a mentor? And I couldn't relate to it because what my speech was about, Toastmaster Asghar is this thing, that my teachers were more of my trying to become my parents, and they should know that I am not orphan. I have my parents alive. They were trying to become my parents, and rather than a mentor, because a mentor is just one who gives you clues or hints. He doesn't spoon feeds you. So this was my speech about. And Toastmaster Asma and Farooq and Fahad Imran and anybody, it would be helpful if you share what are your hassles. Toastmaster Asma and Fahad and Farooq.
Exactly, because see, the whole purpose of the session is to encourage all the members to start doing projects and start, because inshallah our new year will be starting in 2 weeks time. So we need everybody pumped up, we need everybody with a plan on how do they want to progress on their pathway. So we want all of you to share the hurdles that you face while preparing a speech, what stops you from considering a speech, considering doing a speech, and any difficulties that you face.
May I please? Um, okay. Actually, I usually get while uh, uh, making a prepared speech, I usually get very nervous, and I just at times I just become very blank of what. Probably I'm just more conscious of the audience, and this is the issue that I face usually. I've just given two speeches only, but I think that I face this issue a lot, and also that while selecting topic, probably I'm not sure that whether it's matching with our pathways, but I'll go through all those tutorials on Toastmaster website, and I'll just try to relate that whether this is the topic that I'm. Oops. How could I?
Okay, so Toastmaster Asma, first of all, can you hear us? I think there's a problem. Toastmaster Asma, can you hear us? Okay, anyone else who has a question, please put your question forward, and then we can revert to Toastmaster Asma when she's back online.
Okay, this is Fahad Imran. My issue is that whenever I come on the stage or in front of large audience, especially when I the words you can say which comes into my mind. For example, if something I want to speak, maybe I can speak in Urdu very well, but when I try to translate that whole sentence into English, so I get confused and unable to deliver my thoughts there, and that's why whenever I go in front of large audience, so I try to hide myself. Uh, are you getting my point? So this
Yes.
is the issue. This is the one issue, and the other issue is that I have a lot of ideas in my mind, especially whenever I come across any situation. I try to write those things, but writing in a formalized way, it's little different. And before presenting that idea or that thought in front of you guys or in front of anyone, uh, it takes I should do some practice of that story or that situation, right? And I do not get a chance to prepare myself for uh, you know uh, that presentation or that speech.
Okay, so I will provide some input on your question, and then anybody else is free to add to that. First of all, the problem that you face is nothing new. Trust me, all of us face it because all of us natively think in our own mother tongue. That's human nature that cannot be changed. And all of us end up translating ourselves in order to speak in English. Okay, so that's nothing new with you. Secondly, how many people detected a huge problem with Fahad Imran's English while he was speaking?
None.
Absolutely
Not
None.
zero
really.
people. Yeah.
I was really surprised that I have the same exact problem as he is, but he was speaking so confidently and telling his problem.
Exactly.
Yes,
So,
maybe
so
you can
there's
say
your
this is
answer,
the
Toastmaster Fahad. See, the thing is that what I do, what I do is, and Toastmaster Urusa, Toastmaster Imran, they will kill me for it. But the thing is that see, I operate by the principle that you know do something first and think later. Okay, so whenever there's time to deliver a project, I don't look at my list of ideas. I don't look at pathways. What I do first is intimate the VP education that I need a speech slot. That's the first thing to do. Why? Because when you know that you have to deliver a speech in a week or even in 3 days, you will do anything to get it done. And that's what will put you in the right frame of mind. At least that's how it works for me. Okay. If I first write a speech and then perfect it and then wait for the slot to come, I know I won't do it. Okay. So I first book a slot and then work towards it. So Toastmaster Fahad, I think this is what you should do as well. And this is what I advise everyone that, book a slot first and then prepare the project, work towards that. And you will definitely work towards that because no one will accept that, they book a slot and then they back out of it. No one does that. So I think that's my answer to you. Uh, what about others?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the one of the fears I faced when I was really new at Toastmaster, that I was figuring out either these people that have their native language as Urdu, will they understand my English linguistic jokes? And when I would speak in English language, my whole speech, I would, it's my alternate personality and it doesn't translates or interprets into the core of my mind, to the conscious levels of my mind. Like वो होता है कि अम्मी इंग्लिश में मारेंगी या डांटेंगी तो कोई असर नहीं होगा, लेकिन अगर अम्मी इंग्लिश में डांटेंगी तो बहुत फील होगा. तो वो it doesn't goes to the core levels. So this is was thing, लेकिन it took time. It took some time.
Okay, Toastmaster Asgar? Yes.
Yes, just take not more than 1 minute. I think we have a two problems. Sometimes we have a poverty of idea. We don't have an idea to generate and tell them. Sometimes we don't have a medium. I think in Fahad case, or most of the cases, we don't have a strong medium to convey those ideas. Now, one of the reason is that we do not have enough practice in speaking in English. Perhaps this is one of the reason. Especially in my case, this is the reason. This is in fact the main reason. I think my suggestion to Fahad is we at least try to speak as much as possible in order to
Yes.
improve this, in order to overcome this weakness, and practiced to convey our ideas as effectively as possible. The only solution is to speak as much as possible, to seek the opportunity to speak in our meeting. And one of the way is to immediately book a slot for your next speech.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster. Yes, in the words of one of my favorite writers, Stephen King, if you want to learn to write, you should write. In the words of uh, one of my favorite characters from the history's most overrated movie franchise, Star Wars, Yoda, do or not do, there is no try. Okay? So you should just jump into it. Don't think too much about it. And secondly, as Toastmaster also suggested, speak as much as possible. Get your chance in table topics. Okay? And oh my God, we have the district champion of public speaking, Toastmaster Farooq. Welcome, Toastmaster Farooq. Before we move further, uh,
Oh,
I would like to answer Toastmaster Asma's question. She got disconnected. So, Toastmaster Asma, your answer is the same that I just gave. The only way to learn to speak is to speak. There's no other shortcut. There's no other way. The more you will speak, the more confident you will be. And again, just like Toastmaster Farooq Umar, Toastmaster Fahad Imran, uh, you have spoken before us twice or thrice, and I couldn't detect that you were having any problems because your material was perfect and your delivery was very soft, very smooth. So, uh, all you need to do is to book your slots, that's it, and to make up your mind to speak and to read up on the project, and you will do well. Stop thinking about it because Toastmasters is one forum where you're allowed to make as many mistakes as possible. They, uh, they don't, we don't judge you, we don't uh, mark you out, we don't criticize you when you're not prepared, right? Because this is our playground. We can do whatever we want in it because the ultimate purpose is self-development. Toastmaster Saleh, you wanted to say something?
Toastmaster Talha, do you know what the Americans do when they want to teach their newborn 1 year old or 2 year old kids how to swim?
Yeah, they throw them in the water and they end up
No,
drowning and everybody ends up happier.
no, no, no. They throw they throw them in the swimming pool,
Yeah,
and they have their one of their siblings or mother in the pool. But in the end, the children starts, just they are doing
yeah,
with this movement with their hands. They don't know what they are doing, and in the end, this end up learning how to swim. Similarly, it's like the bicycle thing. Like I
exactly.
didn't know when I was
Exactly.
learning to do the bicycle thing, and ultimately one day I learned how to drive the
Exactly.
cycle, how to ride on the cycle.
Exactly. And as Toastmaster Scholar gave the example of swimming, let me tell you why does that practice work? Because instinctively we all know how to swim. It's just bringing out that talent. So throwing them in the water brings out that inherent learning. So that's the only way to go, in my opinion. Please, please stop thinking about it. Stop caring about how you will do. This is very important. Stop caring about whether you will do a good speech or a bad speech. Stop being so hard on yourself. Toastmasters is one forum where you're allowed to develop. Nobody expects you to be Ramona J. Smith the day you enter. And one shouldn't think of themselves as Ramona J. Smith because if they do, if we do, we'll set up an impossibly high standard for ourselves. So our job is to progress constantly, no matter how good we are, how bad we are. So the answer to that is that, you just need to speak. You just need to get thrown in the water, and you learn to swim. So, yes, Toastmaster Farooq.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. I was listening you since long, but my video was not on. So thank you very much for the welcome. I want to answer Fahad because that is what I am going through, or I went through with this. I started with Urdu and then I ended up, where I landed up. So keep speaking is the only key. There is no alternate. There is no shortcut. If you keep on speaking, and I just want to share just my personal experience, which I just gone through last week. One guy contacted me that he want to write an icebreaker, but he is short of ideas. So I just took him on Zoom, and without telling him, I started recording it, and I said, "Tell." And he started telling it. It was such a nice icebreaker. And then when the meeting ended up, I said, "Just is recording. I'm sharing with you. You write this all what you have said to me." Because when you are saying I'm writing, you are confused or you are shy in yourself. But when you are saying yourself, I'm talking to a friend, I'm talking to a person, then you are more open to your ideas. So in 10, 20 minutes, what he said to me, I said, it is your perfect icebreaker. Whatever thought he shared to me, I recorded and sent back to him. So this is one thing, when you are gathering up your ideas, don't take the stress that I have to write everything or each thing. That the second part, that we have filter our thoughts, but just bring the thoughts in as you are speaking to yourself. So there are plenty of ideas when you start writing. Once you break this taboo that I cannot write, the ideas will start coming like flooding to you. So take this, talk to yourself in a mirror, record it, and you will get the plenty of ideas.
I will
like for
add some.
For the icebreaker.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Farooq. That's a very, very relevant angle that you added to the discussion. And I'll try to share my experience as well. Because see, I've been doing some Urdu speeches recently, and by God, speaking in Urdu is 100 times more difficult than speaking in English. I have found that out. So I don't actually type out my Urdu speeches. What I do is that I open Microsoft Word on my phone, and I open Google Keyboard, and I turn on voice typing. So I dictate my speech to the keyboard, and the keyboard types it out. So it takes care of two problems at once. First of all, it takes care of the difficulty of typing Urdu on a keyboard, and it takes care of the flow of the speech and the ideas. So yes, taking what Toastmaster Farooq said further, you don't necessarily need to type out your speech. You can dictate it to your phone, and it will type it out for you. And you can use that draft for your final speech as well. Secondly, I would like to add that don't be afraid to experiment with the format. See, and again, I'm not boasting, I'm just sharing my experience. I've had to do 4 icebreakers by now, okay? And I mean, you get so sick and tired of hearing yourself speak about the same things. My childhood in Quetta, my professor father, my teacher mother, and my difficult school days, and my failure in college, and ICAP being the only institution. See, you all are sick and tired of it too, because you've heard it all, right? So imagine. So what I tried to do was that every time I repeated my icebreaker, I tried to do something different. And recently I discovered my first ever icebreaker that I made in Karachi Toastmasters Club in 2016. And boy, was I impressed, because it contains everything from chemistry to quantum mechanics to the theory of relativity, and my childhood in Quetta and my schooling. I don't know. I still am blown away by the fact that I was able to write and deliver that speech as my first speech. And it was truly humbling. That also meant that, if I'm so impressed by my first speech 4 years ago, that's not such a good news about what I think about my speeches these days, right? But then in my subsequent icebreakers, I tried to change things up a bit. My second icebreaker was actually, I didn't, it wasn't told from my perspective. I actually, and some of you may remember it, I delivered it like it was my funeral, okay? And people were gathered at my place and they were talking about me, starting from my family to my friends to my colleagues. And it ended with the sentence that, DT and Samir is frantically running through the Toastmasters room because it is silent on what to do when the president suddenly passes away. So the third the third icebreaker was a rap song about my life, okay? And the fourth icebreaker was a mixed match of all of those things. About the mentoring thing, I had to do it thrice, okay? So the first time I did it about a real life mentor. The second time, and Toastmaster Jahazeb Shah, you are very aware of that person that I spoke about because that person was appointed as my boss at Alcaro, and you know that person very well. So I told every ugly thing and ugly detail about what that person did, right? And then in the end, I said that, he was my mentor because what to do in life, 1,000 people can tell you. But very few people can tell you what not to do in life. So in that way, he remains my greatest mentor because everything I saw him doing, I made a vow never to do it on my own. So again, there are ways and means you can change up the topics. Okay. Again, as the little discussion that I had with Toastmaster Asghar during this meeting, uh, the Toastmasters projects are not very rigid. You can experiment. You can feel free to experiment, and sometimes you can even take liberties with the format in order to make it more interesting and more engaging for yourself as well as for your audience. So that was my take on the subject. Uh, Before we move further, Toastmaster Jazir, if you're ready with Toastmaster Imran's evaluation, can we have it?
Yes, yes, I'm ready.
Okay.
Okay, so should I start with evaluation? Okay. Okay, so 1,000 ways to say no, just one way to say yes. So Mr. Imran, Imran Rana has been my mentor, and he has been a great influencer of my renewal in the Toastmaster recently. And I found him really, really influencing person. He is very persuasive, and he is very friendly and very caring. And he persuaded me in the recent competition, club wise and district level competition. So he helped me a lot. So, and that is how he did it today. He gave very persuasive speech today, very capacitive effort today. And the topic he chose, it was very sincere and convictive topic, which was very related to each and everyone, because we face so many challenges throughout our lives, and that is how this challenge is faced by any of us. Initially anything we come across, it looks very, it looks impossible, but then you get to know, then it is the ability of a very strong individual, that how you convince yourself that you do it. So effort wise, it was very capacitive effort from Mr. Imran Rana, because it was a very sincere and convictive speech. He was very persuasive as far as his story is concerned, because it was very personal. So everyone could relate with that thing. And eye contact wise, it was very good, because he conveyed this thing, and he made very good eye contact. But I felt that the body language, body language, he could if he could have stood for the speech, then he could have used, gesture, his body language to more to persuade more, to put more power in the message. So that is something which I feel that there was an opportunity. And then the vocal variety. So he have he could have played with the voice message just to put more powers into the messages he delivered. So overall, it was very, very good speech with these areas to consider. There were a couple of opportunities, such as the vocal variety and the use of body language. So if he could have stood, so that in that manner he could have put more power in the statements or in the ideas which he presented. So personally, I would suggest, if he could have if he could repeat this speech, so it will be better, because in that effort he would use the space more, and the body language he could incorporate, just to put more power in the message. So over to you, Mr. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Jazib. So, Toastmaster Soleh, take things forward from here.
Okay, Toastmaster Sabha, can I ask you to take the reports? Can I ask you, Toastmaster Sabha?
So I would like to hand over the charge to the general evaluator. This role is going to be fulfilled by Toastmaster Asgar.
Well, actually, I was not given the opportunity by DTM Thala to be a journal evaluator. I was almost, entering to be a journal evaluator, but then the speakers were invited, so I thought I may be forgotten by all of you, and I left my laptop and changed myself to my iPhone, and I don't think my voice will be visible enough to run the proceedings. If anyone thinks that I'm still clear in my voice, then I will go with the schedule. Am I clear to all of you?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, then I will go according to the plan. Our role holder, the first role holder was a grammarian, a listener, sorry, the listener is Urusa Kamal. Are you there?
Yes, Toastmaster, sir, I'm here.
Okay, so please submit your report to the meeting.
Thank you, Toastmaster, sir. So there were a lot of people and a lot of words were said today. So I'd like you all to open your mics and guess a few things.
Mics open karo.
All right. So who said the word succinct?
What?
Succinct. Someone used the word succinct.
Succinct. TM Imran Rana.
No.
What?
Succinct. Please stop smiling. Yes, Toastmaster Saliha. Okay. Lack of a table topic session.
TM Tala bin Hamid.
Tala, TM Tala.
Yes.
DTM Talha.
Yes. Someone used the word paranoid.
Soleha. TM Soleha.
Yes. Okay. Someone used the word social reformer.
Toastmaster Asgar.
PM Asgar and PM Tala both. Yeah.
Oh, wow. To accept challenges.
Toastmaster Talha.
No.
to accept challenges.
Toastmaster Imran Rana.
Yes. And the last one would be cry with you. Cry with you.
No idea.
Toastmaster Salia.
Huh?
Okay, back to you, Toastmaster as well.
Okay,
Salia
thank you,
used it.
TM. Okay, thank you, TM Urusa, for your report. Almost we have guessed more than 70%, so congratulations to all of us. Now it's the time for the grammarian to submit the report. Who was the grammarian?
I am. Yes, I am
Okay,
the
so go ahead,
grammarian.
please. Okay, go ahead, please.
So, as we have only one prepared speech, so there were no specific grammatical mistakes by Toastmaster Imran Rana and by Toastmaster Salih. And as a word master, no one uses a word of the day. Over to the general evaluator.
Okay, thank you for your report. And do we have a R counter today?
Yes, Toastmaster as well, it was me.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so we had Toastmaster Saba, she used 5 because and so's. Toastmaster Jahanzeb, 1 and because so. Toastmaster Imran, 4 ums and 3 because and so's. And Toastmaster Saleha, 1 filler word, 1 and 2 because and so's. And Toastmaster Talha, because he spoke for the longest time, 1 filler word, 6 ums and 5 because and so that is a concise report, Toastmaster. For them.
Oh, thank you, TM
Back to you,
Rusa. It is. Thank you. Your report was quite compositic. Now come to the word of the day. Please explain who and when used the word of the day, TM Salia.
Yes, Toastmaster Asgar. The word of the day was used once by Toastmaster Asgar in his evaluation only, and nobody. And Toastmaster Jahanzeb used the word of the day twice, and other than that, nobody else used the word of the day.
Okay. Okay, thank you for your report. Actually, we used the word of the day during our table topic session, which we didn't have today. But even then, it was quite compositic to observe that at least a couple of Toastmasters were able to use it. Now, the last one is vote counter. Should we go for vote counter? Because the all role holders have given the report.
Toastmaster Asgar, will you give me a few minutes to say something?
Sure, go ahead. If it is related to the general remarks, then we can do in the end of the program.
It is related to my speech evaluator.
Okay. Okay.
Toastmaster Jahanzeb, thank you very much. Your evaluation was an honest evaluation, and I would love to repeat the speech. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. But I think before going to the vote counter, let me submit some of my observation, at least regarding to the minutes. Well, I like today's meeting because it's an extraordinary meeting. Although we skipped table topic session, but we replaced it with something very interesting, knowledgeable, and thought-provoking. I personally learned from today's session. Well, the second thing, I like this club because of a very few member. I know my comments will not be appreciated by the president, since he is interested to increase the membership of this club. But I personally feel that if you are a few people, you have the opportunity to interact with them, to have the opportunity to listen to other people more carefully and attentively. I think that is why it is always good to be in Toastmaster meeting on Sunday. I strongly suggest
Toastmaster Asgar, this wish will be fulfilled soon, inshallah.
Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you. Uh, this is in fact the end of my observation, and now I would like to uh, uh, hand over the charge to the Toastmaster of the evening. Please, this is it. This is all from my side. The stage is yours, Toastmaster of the evening.
Toastmaster of the evening, I would like a few seconds before handing over the charge to you. Clearly abusing my authority as president, but you guys just validated it, so now you got to live with it. So I'm sorry for the interruption, but uh, uh, Toastmaster Asghar, first of all, please, never think that any input provided by you will be disliked or held in a negative light, because we all know that you're a sincere Toastmaster, and you've proven your sincerity over the years, not just to myself, but to everyone here. Secondly, yes, there are definite advantages to a smaller club, and I will be the first one to say it. In fact, uh, I remember that meeting where, with this small size, we had 6 speeches, 6 evaluations of full table topics. Like, we had all the ingredients that, like, our meeting was as long as full of content as the KTC meeting, and yet we have 9 members. So it is perfectly possible to have fulfilling and great meetings, even with a small body of members. And yes, it imparts a certain intimacy to the club that's not there in the bigger clubs. The only thing and the only reason that I aspire to add members is Toastmasters itself. The thing is that they don't give you a distinguished award unless you have reached 20 members. We did get a distinguished award this year because we worked our way from 0 to 9. So that gave us credit in the eyes of Toastmaster, that you have to either reach 20 members or you have to add 4 members during the year. So that's the only reason that when a club doesn't get distinguished award, all the labor put in by the members is not duly recognized. So, but I 100% agree with you that this club has its own charm, and some of that comes from its smaller size and the intimacy that it brings. Over to you, Toastmaster of the evening.
Thank you, DTM Talha. So now there are no votings, as we have only, yeah, lower down is 5. As you have only one prepared speech and no table topic session. So if
There should be no
I
voting.
would like to ask the timer if the prepared speaker is qualified, so he is the winner for
No, no, no.
today's speech, prepared speech, because there are no
There,
other speeches.
there should
Yes,
be no, there should
Toastmaster
be
of
no,
the day of the evening, both the
there should.
evaluator and the speaker, Toastmaster Imran and Toastmaster Jahanzeb, qualifies with their time limit.
So we can give pass the certificates to both of them, as there were no evaluations and no prepared speeches, and there were only, in the big 4 we have only Toastmaster of the evening, as that role is going to be that role was fulfilled by me, and the other role is of general evaluator, and that role is of that role was fulfilled by Toastmaster Asghar. So I don't think so we need to vote for it, because it's not a complete. uh, DTM Talha, hello.
Hello. Yeah, I think it's
I don't
okay. We don't
understand.
need to vote for it because it was
Maybe mic is off.
uh, and it was not a conventional Toastmasters meeting. So we will give certificates to everyone. We'll, yeah.
But in other words, I'm also among the winners. I can say that, right?
Sorry, your voice got lost.
Okay.
Do
I said
we?
we are all winner. I'm among the winners, right?
Yes, that's what I
Yes,
was
you
about to
are
say.
better than.
We'll give winner certificates to all the role players. Don't worry.
Okay, so do we need to vote amongst the big four?
No, if you are asking me, I think no, we don't need to vote for big four. We are all winner. We just
Yes,
considered winner.
exactly.
Okay, that's all from my side. I would like to hand over the charge to the presiding officer, DTM Talha bin Hamid.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for attending this meeting. And the primary purpose was to motivate members and all the attendees to get on with the projects. So our VP Education, Toastmaster Sabha, will be getting in touch with all of you, and she will be asking you about your plans to deliver projects, and then she will be drawing up the agenda for the next year. So please be don't worry about anything, because as Toastmaster Asghar said, uh, being a smaller club brings with it a lot of flexibility, a lot of room. Um, just go for it. Just book your slots, and trust me, when you book your slots, you will automatically deliver projects. See, we are meeting online, so that means that we can, and for the moment at least, we'll be meeting fortnightly, but we can switch to a weekly schedule as soon as the need arises. So no worries there. But one thing is for sure, that for the members, whenever you book a slot, you will get a slot. Okay, that is the one of the founding principles of this club. You will definitely get a slot. And members of other clubs who are listening, if you don't get a chance during your home club's meeting, or maybe you missed out on that meeting, you can always ask us. You can always ask Storytellers, and we'll be delighted to host your speech and have it evaluated as well, as long as we have the room. So the clear message to the members is that we are 12 members right now, and if all of you start giving speeches, then we will have 5 or 6 projects every fortnight, and that will put us on a good pace towards achieving distinguished status, and also all of you on a good pace to complete your pathway as early as possible. So that's my parting message to all of you. We are all open for questions all the time, 24/7. You can contact us. You can contact me 24 hours a day on my cell phone, on WhatsApp. Uh, it's just that all we ask of you is to just book your slots and start working your projects. And Toastmaster Sabah Khan will be asking you your plans, and also helping you out. We are all there to help you out, and we'll also be assigning you mentors. If not from this club, then we'll assign you mentors from other clubs. So don't worry about that. Uh, all you need to do is to book your slots and start preparing for projects. So with that, I take your leave, and anybody who wants to add anything, please feel welcome to do so. Okay, nobody wants to add anything. Everybody wants to uh, have their tea and samosas. Toastmaster Solia, where are those teas and samosas you offered us in the chat box? Okay, so everyone, bye. Have a good time. See you again, inshallah, next week. Okay.
Allah Hafiz.
Yes,
Okay.
Toastmaster
Allah
Tala,
Hafiz.
I have shared the picture of samosas and tea.
Oh, okay. Please, next time, all the courier services are still operating, and food delivery services are still operating.